So I want to get started just really quick. My name's Mebane Boyd. I'm with the Resiliency Task Force, and we've been working for the past couple of years around making our community more compassionate and bringing trauma-informed systems and policies to all of our systems, whether it's healthcare, early childhood, school system, first responders, police officers, faith communities. And we have really had a good time connecting with each other and learning from each other about how we can do this. And so you might be thinking, well, why are you then talking about homeschooling? And just wanted to address this because I'm seeing so much conversation online about homeschooling, and it's one more thing for parents who are already juggling so many things in addition to the stress that they have. And so I thought it would be helpful if we could talk about homeschooling and how to do it, and maybe we might even get some information from each other that helps us not have it be as stressful as it seems to feel. So I was looking at some websites today to sort of check on, to make sure what I was saying made sense, and is anybody else saying what I'm going to say? And I came across this website that I did share to the Resiliency Task Force page that had a letter that was written by a little boy, probably 6, 7, 8 years old, about his homeschool experience in his journal that he was doing for school. And this is what he said. It's not going good. My mom's getting stressed out. My mom is really getting confused. We took a break so my mom can figure this stuff out. I'm telling you, it is not going good. And I felt so sorry for that mom who read those comments because she was probably doing everything in her power to do it well. And I wish I could tell her in person that she actually did do something really, really well. And that was, she took a break and she walked away from it when it wasn't working. And even her son, Ben, noticed that she took a break and she needed to regroup. And I think we all deserve a chance to do that. We're doing something brand new, and learning a new skill is really hard. And doing it under pressure when we have a lot of stress is even harder. So I just want to spend some time today talking about homeschooling. And first of all, don't we all, and I say we, I'm not homeschooling. My kids are grown and I don't have this added pressure. So I'm using the word we with a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? With a lot of gravitas maybe, like that. I don't deserve to say we because I'm not in it. But for those of you who are in the homeschooling world, adding this to your busy, busy plate, I salute you and wish you the best in this journey. It's a new normal, and we are already worried about family members who might be vulnerable. We're worried about our jobs. We're worried about getting sick. We're worried about getting our work done from home. We're worried about what's it going to be like when I go to the grocery store and there's no toilet paper, or I go to the grocery store and there are too many people in the aisle I want to go down. All of those things are adding stress to our lives. And now, on top of that, you've been asked to be a teacher. And teaching is a full-time job. So you've been asked to put that on top of your already busy, crazy, stressful world. So I just want to first of all say you can't do all of them the way you'd like to do them, and sort of coming to some acceptance that that is not going to happen. And that hopefully, if you go into that world, not to say I'm going to do a bad job at this, but this is hard and I'm going to do what I can, might be helpful. Um, and where I want to start today is some information that I got from a woman named Dr. Betty Rintoul. Those of you who are in the early childhood world, those of you who do early childhood mental health, may be very familiar with her. She's a brilliant woman in North Carolina who did some trainings a couple of years ago and more around helping children reduce their stress and to especially toxic stress. And my big takeaway from Dr. Betty Rintoul had to do with children need three things: that they need to feel safe, they need to feel capable, and they need to feel loved. And until they have those three things, it's really hard for them to learn anything else. So I hope that one of your main takeaways from today is how important that is, to create a space for your child, your children, when they're learning at home, where they feel safe, where they feel capable, and they feel loved. And you have a huge role in that, no matter what age your child is. And then, what does it look like when your child doesn't feel one of those things, safe, capable, or loved? That then they're going to have behaviors that might be challenging for learning. So when you're talking about school-age kids, they might, or younger, you might have more tantrums. Preschool kids, you might even have some regression in some of their skills, like bedwetting. You might have children who are no longer able to do the things that they used to be able to do really well. So, and then as children get older, you might have more pushback, you might have more aggressive behaviors, or more talking back. I don't want to do that, I'm not going to do that. And you're not my teacher, you can't make me do that. So what, how to deal with those kinds of behaviors. And I think the first thing is for us to understand as parents that those kinds of behaviors are our children's way of telling us that they don't feel safe, or they don't feel capable, or they don't feel loved. They may be actually stressed, right? It's stressful for them not to be with their friends. And peers are so, so important during this time of life, and they don't get to be with their friends. They also, some of them may be grieving things that they've lost. You know, they're not going to be able to have field day, or they're not going to be able to have a birthday party that they were hoping to celebrate with their friends, or they're not going to go to prom. That's a lot. That's a lot to have lost. And so those feelings that kids have, you're the parent who's there, you're the grown-up who's there, and they get to take it out on you. It's not that you're not being helpful in teaching them their lessons. It's not that they don't think that you're taking care of them well at home. It just may be that you're that one safe person where they can take out those frustrations. And so there you are, and you have to deal with that too. So what I'd like to talk about are just a few practical pointers. And if any of you have ideas or questions as I'm going along, please feel free to put them in the comment box. The first one is routine. You all probably already know this, that when children have a routine, they perform better. So, do you do a math exercise and then you do something that's creative, an arts activity, or then you go for a walk and then you come back and then you read? Or come up with, you have breakfast and then academic activity, and then another break, fun time, do some puzzles, or play outside, and then come back in and do some more. But whatever your routine is, try to stick to the same routine on school days, so that there's comfort and safety in knowing that every day, every school day is going to look like this. And the more you do it, since we are in this situation for at least 4 more weeks, you do have a chance to establish routine. It will be worth it for you to figure out what that routine is. If your children are older, and by that I mean able to talk, right? So young children can help with this. Have them help you come up with a routine. What do you want to do first in the morning? What do you want to do next in the morning? What would you like to do right before lunch? And that would be for younger children. But for elementary, middle, high schoolers, how would you like to structure your day? Have them create a calendar of what your day looks like on a school day, Monday through Friday. If they come up with the routine, you're more likely to have them stick to it. So that's a first suggestion, is routines that you create with your children, ideally. Number 2, make sure to build in outdoor time. There's a reason why early childhood licensed locations are required to have outdoor time every day. It's because it's good for us. And there are benefits from being outside in nature. And although we can't go to playgrounds now, you can still go for a walk or a bike ride, or if you live in a house or a community that has a yard, you can go outside and do a nature walk and look for unusual things. You might dig a hole and see what you find, and just encourage you to be creative, but go outside. If your children are old enough to go outside by themselves, you can get some work done while they're doing that part of the day, that part of the routine. So the third suggestion is to break your learning up into smaller pieces. So if you're having a hard time sticking to all the math problems that you've received from your teacher, what if you do a third of them and then take a break and then do something else and come back to math? I keep talking about math because math was not my subject. So would not have enjoyed a long time doing math. And I would think that some other kids might feel that same way. If something becomes really frustrating, find something else to do. And going back to those 3 qualities we talked about, safe, capable, and loved, if you're doing something and you don't get it, like algebra, you're doing a problem, you don't get it, put it away and do something else. Come back to the algebra later. I actually, when I was in college, I broke my finger in studying for calculus because I was sitting in the hallway getting frustrated, and I wanted to do one more problem before I went to bed, and I took the book and I threw it over my head, and when my hand came back, I hit the wall and I broke my finger. So I should have put that calculus away and done something else for a few minutes, and I might have gotten that problem easier. There are lots and lots and lots of online resources, maybe more than you even want. It might feel overwhelming. So if you've already been looking at resources online and don't want to hear another one because you feel like that's more pressure, like, oh, I got to look at that one now, then don't listen to this next part. I just have a couple of great suggestions of places that have really great online learning resources. One is the national parks. They have some great science lessons that you can access for free. And the Smithsonian Museum also has some learning apps that you can download, and also you can explore yourself. There are the local Cameron Art Museum did some great learning online recently, and there's another online learning organization that teaches kids about science, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of that one right now, but I can put that up later today. Let's see. And then the other thing is, if you're doing homeschooling and it's overwhelming, or you've gotten to that place where you're frustrated, your child is frustrated, again, put it down and go do something else that maybe isn't academic. I've heard people say, this is such a great chance to teach my child how to change the oil in the car. I don't know how to do that, but other people know how to do that. Or teach your child how to balance a checkbook. Teach your child how to cook. Teach your child, or have your child help you clean the windows in the house. My kids used to love doing that with Windex. There are other things in life that we need to teach our kids. And if the academic part's not going well, put it down and go do something else. And that doesn't make you a bad homeschooler. It just means you are noticing your children's needs and your own needs. And I meant to mention this earlier. Just like on an airplane, when they tell you to put the mask on yourself first before you help your child, make sure you start your homeschooling when you are in your good, resilient place, because that will make all the difference in the world. If your child senses that they can get away with not doing any work, that is not what I'm advocating. I'm just saying make sure that when you give limits that they're gentle. Your children have a lot of stress right now. So be firm, but be gentle about it, and listen to what their needs might be. Most importantly, I want to end with an analogy that my son taught me. He went to the Citadel, and your first year there, they give you more than you can handle on purpose. They want you to have more than you can handle. And they talk about having, that you're juggling balls, and you have lead balls, and you have crystal balls. And you're going to be juggling these balls, and sometimes you will drop a ball or two. And just to make sure that the ones that you drop are the lead ones and not the crystal ones. And I think that's a good thing to remember when you feel overwhelmed, like I've got to get the groceries before the baby wakes up, or I've got to make sure both of my kids are doing their daily work, and I've got to call into a webinar, and I have to do all of this before 9 in the morning. Wow, it's just like too much. So which one of those things on that day could you drop? Is it putting your children's homework to a little bit later in the day? Or is it, can you eat macaroni and cheese one more day instead of getting something else at the grocery store? So that would be a lead ball that got dropped, that you ate something, like you wanted to have something different for a meal, but you dropped that ball so you could pay attention to the other two things you had to do. So I think that's what I had for today. Does anybody have any comments or questions that you would like to post to the group? I'd be curious about what other people are doing that's working, that you'd be willing to share. Oh, I have to scroll down. Here we go. My biggest issue is play. My 9-year-old doesn't have her friends to play with, and she's trying to play with us parents the same way she plays with her friends at school. We don't have the energy or time, and even when we do, it's just not the same for her. Oh, that's such a hard one. I always felt like playing or trying to make myself play the way a young child would play took so much energy. I could pretend for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I just had to walk away. It's just my brain wasn't made for pretending to be a baby or pretending to fly airplanes in the sky. I sympathize with you. I wonder if since you are a 2-parent family, if you could set aside time So maybe you could have, when you set your schedule, and who knows, this it's just an idea, a suggestion, that when you set your schedule to have morning playtime, so that during that time you are 100% with, I don't know if your 9-year-old's a daughter or son, but you're 100% with her, so that she really knows that she has your attention. And set aside 10, 15 minutes where she really gets your 100% and it's not distracted. And then you can go back to some other things, and maybe your partner can do the same thing. But as I think if they know that they have your attention really strongly for, even if it's a limited period of time, that's helpful. Trying to learn how to use this thing. I'm a school counselor. Want to stress to parents to take care of yourselves. We have plenty of time for the schoolwork. We're all learning how to juggle all of this right now. That's so well said, Lori. I think the whole idea is we're being asked to do a lot. So just do what you can. And like that little boy who mentioned in the morning, or let me read that again, because some of you who got on late may not have seen this. This is from a little boy, Ben, talking about his homeschooling experience, who said, "It's not going good. My mom's getting stressed out. My mom is really getting confused. We took a break so my mom can figure this stuff out. I'm telling you, it's not going good." And that mom did exactly what she needed to do, which was to take a break. The last thing you want to do is to have this stress get in the way of the relationship between you and your children, that this is one more thing and everybody's struggling with this, and your child is not going to get way behind if you don't get to something that you feel like you should have gotten to. This is from Jenny. I think what is difficult for me is trying to make sure my teenager's doing her schoolwork, getting outside time, and following a routine while I'm working. She's incredibly resistant to having to do some schoolwork or follow a bit of a schedule. I would need to work less than 8 hours in order to support her learning better. Yeah, so hard choices. You know, can you work less than 8 hours? Maybe not. But maybe what I'd want to say is that resistance isn't about you, it's about this situation. And whatever you can do to help support her, maybe having her make some decisions about that scheduling, and you may have already done that. But I'd be curious to know if she were to make her schedule for the next day, where she would plug in her schoolwork and how much time she'd allot for that. It's hard stuff. Have I gotten to all the questions? I'm using my daughter's computer, so I'm not as adept at getting this to go. Let's see. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all. I keep seeing recommendations for total amount of schoolwork per day, elementary, blah, 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 split up as you recommended. I didn't know this had gone out, so that's interesting to see. 1 to 2 hours for elementary, 2 to 3 for middle, 3 to 4 hours for high school. That seems about right. Okay, I think I've answered everybody's questions. Thank you so much. Let's see. This is the conversation we should be having. Yeah. Stay safe first. That's good. You know, yeah, that's our number one objective. And if we stay safe, then we've done our number one job. And so we want to stay emotionally safe and physically safe. I would just throw that in there. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap up. Thank you for joining me, and I appreciate those of you who were patient with us figuring out the technology, and hope to see you here again soon. We'll tape this and get this up on the Resiliency Task Force page. All right, take care.